What's up, everyone? Welcome to Ring the Bell. As always, my name's Joey. I'm your dad bod demigod.
I am the interdimensional Shiro, Moxie Molly, and Joey, may I please have the honor of introducing our guest today?
Of course.
All the way from, you're from Scotland. You live there still?
Yeah, so I live in Scotland. I'm originally from a small town called Kirkcaldy, but I now live in the west coast of Scotland, in Glasgow.
Molly Spartan!
Yay!
Probably my favorite person I met when I went to wrestle in the UK.
Oh, and that's saying something. I'm a bitch.
So you've wrestled on Women of Honor in the UK.
Yeah. I've done quite a lot. I've travelled all over the place in the short time that I've been doing this. I've also wrestled places like ICW, there's a place called TNT in Liverpool, but yeah, from Israel to Germany to the wee town hall down the street, I've pretty much wrestled wherever they'll let me shout at children and adults at the same ilk.
It is my first time meeting you, but due to that wallpaper, I can already tell you've got a friend in me. So.
It's not wallpaper. I hand-painted that.
You hand-painted that?
I hand-painted this room, so it's blue, and I've hand-painted all the clouds.
Well, let's go ahead and dive right on into our review this week, because we had a lot of stuff go down, including a pay-per-view. NXT this week, because opening up the show for the women's side of things, we got a promo from Johnny Gargano and Candice Lerae right after their match that led into what I thought was one of my favorite promos of all time, with Mia Yim and Keith Lee making fun of Johnny.
It was a new sort of creative ilk, and the fact that they're actually acknowledging that they're couples is a massive step, especially for places like WWE. For years, they were quite famously known for dividing couples and putting them on separate brands and making sure sort of that doesn't come into the work. But the fact that they're just going, you know what? These people are couples. We all know that they're couples. Let's try and use that as an angle. It was fun and it was interesting, and it was sort of old kind of John Cena-esque with like photos and all sorts. Yeah. So yeah, I enjoyed it.
I agree. Speaking of the couple thing, people give them a lot of flack, but I think that's a testament to the Bella Twins, actually, because until the John Cena Daniel Bryan thing, we really didn't see too many on-screen couples, and now it's like everyone's getting it.
I didn't know that they were dating until this promo. I guess I've been living under a rock.
I love when she's instructing him on how to do the promo. She's like, just put the light in your face, and then all of a sudden everything's going to change.
It sometimes is a hindrance on the sector that you don't want one to overshadow the other, but they're all very different. In a sense, like, yeah, you can say, oh, Candice and Johnny have this size thing, that they're the small person in their division, but I mean, when it comes to it, they're still very different performance-wise and in the ring. So
one thing that kind of in this promo I was a little off was, why was Tegan Knox the pizza delivery girl?
Yeah, I was wondering that too.
So through the lockdown, Tegan's actually been at Candice and Johnny's house a lot. So if you actually see Candice's cooking channel on YouTube, there's a video of them cooking macaroni cheese and stuff.
Oh.
So it's probably just circumstance that they're close.
Visiting each other and trying not to go in.
Like, to put it in like I know that seems strange that why is she doing it in a show standpoint, but that's probably the realistic standpoint.
I think it's setting up a really nice feud with a lot of great workers. So I think that the sky's the limit when this actually takes head and line together at the Clash.
Well, we kind of got to see a little bit of this storyline come to fruition at the end of our first match, which that match was, of course, Shotzi Blackheart going one-on-one with Raquel Gonzales. The finish seemed a little bit wonky, but just that opening chain spot to me that led to Shotzi hitting that Hurricane Rana and everything else. These two went at it to prove it. And I was like, I love it. This is my reaction. It was just crazy and emotion. That was it.
I'd probably say of all the women's matches in the past week, that sequence at the start, the psychology behind it, nobody was like, Raquel was strong throughout it. She was reversing with her power and her strength. Shotzi was fast and nimble and kept outsmarting her. The whole psychology behind that was flawless. Like, I was sitting there just going, oh, well, if it comes to this, like, I feel like there's a lot of In a lot of places, the psychology sometimes is put to the side for doing something flashy. And there was many a flashy move in this, but every single move had a purpose. Every single move was given with intent. And when it was reversed, it was even more of a shock, so it built to it. So by far, I think this, with that chain sequence alone, became my favourite.
This was stellar. For a long time, those bigger, taller girls just like rested on their laurels of being bigger and taller and just, hair pulling or hair bails or stomping on you. Like Raquel, she's bringing a whole new attitude to what it is to be that tall female wrestler. Mm-hmm. I think the likes of it we haven't seen personally, I feel, since China. And so I'm really loving how she is redefining what that kind of wrestler is. Like you said, nimble. Raquel is nimble for being.
Yes, she is.
All of her, I have a girl crush on her now, I guess, because she's my goals in every way. She's so body confident. She walks out there confident. She speaks confident. She wrestles confident. I'm loving her. I'm digging her.
Everything made sense, which seems like a strange thing to say, but everything, every move, everything. Oh, the psychology was incredible. It was just, it made me happy that I was all of that made sense.
Everything kind of played out. The reason I said it was a little wonky in the beginning was just because there was so much outside interference where it came from, the Candice spot, and then the camera was just jockeying. So it's less on the girls, more on just the fact that I don't think the camera crew was really ready to film exactly what they needed to, and it felt a little jockey-ish. But overall, I thought it was one of the best showcases I've seen as far as Shotzi and Raquel being in the ring. But at the very end, we got to see Candice and Tegan kind of break down, and that led to a promo later on in the night where Candice said that she was disappointed in Tegan and also announced that we're getting Candice and Mia one-on-one next week on NXT.
Should be a stellar match.
Let's go ahead and move on to our second match, which was a tag team match where it was Rhea Ripley teaming with the genius of the sky, Miss Io Shirai, to take on...
Evil genius of the sky, as Michael Cole said. Not Michael Cole. I'm thinking of the wrong person. Who was on commentary this week in NXT?
Mauro Ranallo.
I'm Scottish. It's hilarious. Comes out weird.
To be fair, if Michael Cole and Mauro Ranallo were Pokemon, I think Michael Cole would evolve into Mauro Ranallo.
Yeah. And get better at commentary.
It was Io Shirai and Rhea Ripley going up against the NXT Women's Champion Charlotte Flair and a partner of her choosing, which turned out to be Chelsea Green. What do we feel about Chelsea being the partner of Charlotte this week?
Oh, it's perfect. It's the princess and the queen. That should be a team anyway. But I thought it was a great choice. You knew she was going to do something big, so why not stick her with Charlotte Flair? Yeah, it's Charlotte Flair, the next evolution of human. Is Charlotte Flair. Yeah,
yes,
the evolutionary step, we're here. Charlotte Flair's just ahead of us. I mean, we've got to talk about the team of Rhea Ripley and Io Shirai. They looked like a team. They were similar coloured, but for me, I'm in a lot of teams and factions in the UK. My job is essentially Rhea's job. I'm the big one. I'm the strong one. I'm the one that catches people in the sky, where my tag partner is Casey Owens, where she's the small, fast, nimble one that'll do daft stuff. You've got the big guy who's the muscle, and you've got the wee mouthy one behind. I could see them being in a bar, and Io being and Rhea just standing at the front and being if you go for my pal, you need to go through me first. And that to me is just yes.
The match itself, I wanted to really talk about the fact that this is the first match I've seen in really any women's division in a bit, where every woman that came in there had clear character direction. Mm-hmm. Every reaction they had to every single thing that happened. As soon as Chelsea came in and did that back chop to Rhea, the facial expressions that Rhea gave along with Chelsea's reaction, it was just so well played out, and it just proves how good of storytellers each and every woman that was in that ring is.
I mean, every woman in that ring, Charlotte Flair has had to try and outshadow her dad, who is, don't know if you've heard of him, Ric Flair, one of the best wrestlers to ever exist. And she has to go up against that. That girl has worked her backside off like nobody else. It doesn't matter what generation of wrestler you were from or who's your dad, she's had to do it. She's an incredible wrestler. Like, she is one of the best wrestlers that company has produced, hands down. Sack gender. She is one of the best. She is innovative. She changes up the style. So she's had to work her butt off. You've got Chelsea Green, who has went through the independents, has done Japan and all that. But she's an incredible character wrestler and has been through the independents, through everything she's done, from the hot mess to the princess.
Speaking of her father's legacy, though, the very end, we got to see her do a little bit of, dirtiest player in the game and use the ropes to get that win. And she does it, for lack of a better term, with flair. Her and Chelsea celebrating with Robert Stone, I thought was just the perfect shot to end that match right there.
Yeah.
Sometimes when like a champion is like in a match like this, they like make it like the champion's like, I'm the champion, so I got this. But I like how, because Chelsea took a bullet proverbially for Charlotte, like Charlotte, like the look where she like looked at her and she's like, you did good. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I just really like that moment. I think it was real in some aspect, because I'm sure Charlotte was impressed, because I don't feel like Chelsea's been able to show how good she is yet. And that match,
not at all.
That match was a glimpse though, finally.
What I loved is the fact that going into this match, let's be honest, we all assumed Chelsea would not, even before we knew it was Chelsea, when it was the mystery partner, we all assumed that person was there to take the pin so that all three women could go in strong. So when that didn't happen, I was like, oh,
yeah,
this is nice.
Well, it's kind of like when we were talking last week about how Charlotte came and ended the match between Rhea and Io in a DQ. It's kind of like, you don't have to always like throw everything out the window to make people look strong. Like, all it took was Io taking the pin and Charlotte cheating just a little bit so that they all stay strong and they all look good going into In Your House. Speaking of losing things, I don't know if you guys got to see it, but there was a WWE.com backstage thing that got released. Chelsea Green fired Robert Stone.
Oh, I didn't see that.
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, it was a little thing they released on Twitter and YouTube. It's a promo. They're being interviewed after the match, and Chelsea just looked at Robert Stone and said she's the greatest and doesn't need him anymore, and fired him.
Oh no!
Promo ended with him begging Chelsea and like running after her. So like maybe we're gonna get a new little angle of Robert Stone trying to win Chelsea Green back, which is gonna be a little fun.
Yeah. Yeah, and it would be interesting to sort of do that through promos.
Speaking of promos, we got to just mention this real quick. Scarlett came out during Tommaso Ciampa's match, and by God, she looked amazing. Like that outfit, and she just stared a hole down Tommaso Ciampa, not saying a word.
Yeah, like what I loved about it was sometimes the simplest things make the most impact, and the fact she just stood there. She didn't go close. She stayed away from the ring. So she didn't interfere in any of the match at all. She just stood there to be a distraction. And any time Ciampa would look up, she was there in his eye line. So the only time she moved was to stay in his eye line, which I love. Just, it's so subtle, but so effective. And sometimes that's all it needs. It doesn't need to be overcomplicated and mad and mental. Sometimes you just send a woman out to stare a man out and he gets the message.
Let's go ahead and move on to AEW, because we got a lot this week. We got some stuff. Of course, we had Double or Nothing. Then we have Dynamite and AEW Dark. So let's discuss what happened on AEW's Double or Nothing. The first match that we got was supposed to be Britt Baker, but she wound up getting injured. So stepping in was super bad Penelope Ford to face off against everyone's favorite alien, Miss Chris Statlander.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. I'm glad to see that Penelope's actually getting a proper singles match and isn't just
so good.
Yeah, she looks incredible. Like she looks incredible. She puts in the work, and yeah, like it was good to see that they instantly just went, we'll just put Penelope in, and I was like, yeah, this show was mental. There was every element that was put on it. And they could have easily just done something where the match didn't happen, but I'm glad that they put somebody in to actually put the match on, and to give even Chris just the chance to do a solid singles match as well.
I mean, it was not only solid, it was just good. We'll talk about the championship match next, but both matches from the women that we got just stood out as probably the best night I've seen in AEW's women's division since, its incarnation. I just enjoyed both of them so much.
Yeah, they were great, and like obviously the added winning for Shida to to actually be victorious was a nice touch. And are in our Final Fantasy cosplaying gear. My friend Dean, who is the biggest Final Fantasy mark in the world, was just like, oh my god, look at her, she's and I'm like,
we saw Statlander get the win with the Big Bang Theory.
I do agree that this has been some of the best wrestling. We were really critical of AEW's division when it very first started because they promised us so much and we just weren't seeing it, like a women's division like none other, and it kind of fizzled. So I'm glad that they finally
they're delivering those promises.
Yeah, finally.
The only criticism about the AEW women's division, and it's nothing to do with work rate, it's nothing to do with performance, but it's the fact that the only person that seems to talk is Britt Baker. Now, she's incredible, and we'll probably discuss the promo that she did later on, but she's very competent and confident on the microphone. But I just feel like everybody else, there's like promos and segments and all this sort of done, but really at the moment I just feel like all there is really Britt Baker, and she completely deserves the spotlight, she deserves all the attention, but she needs somebody to come out and be like, oh bitch, shut up. Like, there needs to be that person that comes in and is just as confident on the microphone as her to shut her up.
Well, it could possibly happen because via Double or Nothing and Dynamite this week, we have seen that now AEW has Vicky Guerrero, and she is not shy about talking on a microphone. We have to talk about the AEW Women's Championship match with Nyla Rose and Hikaru Shida. Gimmick matches aside, like the ladder match and the finale amazing match that we got, this was my match of the night. I thought Nyla and Shida delivered and surpassed anyone's expectations.
Yeah, it was great. The dynamic between the two of them was really good. For me, it seems surprising. They just seem from two different worlds altogether. But again, sometimes that's what makes the perfect match. Like, having so many different ideas, bringing them to the one pot, and you make something delicious. And that's what this was.
It was really delicious. And the part that stands out the most to me is the silliest little spot. Shida whapped Nyla with that kendo stick, and she let out that like high-pitched yell from it. I can't get that out of my head. It literally just, I popped so hard I couldn't stop laughing. It's like that was like my favorite sell in probably the last decade. She oozes charisma, and she's going to give us a lot to talk about. Speaking of which, let's go ahead and move on to what we saw from her on AEW Dynamite, because we saw her first ever match as champion against Christy Janes. Y'all, I was really impressed by Hikaru, but Christy came to play in that match.
I think I was being overcritical with this match. There was a lot of stuff. She can do the flippy Owen Hart thing, and she looked incredible, but has all the potential in the world to be great. It's just tiny little things for me, like there were set like little footwork options and like space awareness in the ring and like delivery of certain things that I was a bit like, but has all the potential in the world to be great. And she already looks incredible, and she's got really lovely sparkly gear.
I was in for her gear. Her gear was...
For me, it felt like it was slightly a show you'd see in a sports hall or something. It was very family orientated. People that are super at indie wrestling have all the guys that they're like, please go AEW, because they feel like that's where they'll be able to shine.
Right.
And I feel like, she was clearly from the independents, but I felt like it was a good match, and in the right setting would have been an incredible match. But I just felt for that there and then, I was like, no, there's like it was all the pulling of the hair and then like the dance. There was just bits of it that was like, this is the wrong crowd, but it's not a bad match. It's just not the right.
I think the reason I'm so high on her from what I've seen was we've seen a lot of women brought in as, jobbing talent. There's Danny Jordan, Skylar Moore, and even Anna Jay, who got signed. All of them came in, they did their job. But what I saw from Christy was, okay, you're coming in here, you're going to let me know exactly who your character is. You're going to give me some charisma. And I think she made more of a statement than any of the women that I mentioned prior when she came out there, because I don't think I can really forget her.
If she gets a little practice in the ring with the people that are already signed, I think she would be good.
Y'all, Britt Baker's promo, everything that I needed. I mean, She keeps calling Rebel Reba, which is my favorite thing in the world because I'm a Southern boy, so I love my Reba McEntire. And then the fact that she called Chris Statlander a crock of shit on live television.
I know. I was like, I don't know if they're allowed to do that.
I was critical of Britt Baker at first because I just wasn't digging her as a face when they kind of brought her in as a face. But like the moment they allowed her to come heel, like Molly said earlier, like she is, and she even said it in her thing, without her, there is no AEW women's division because honestly, they have a lot of talent, but like she is the one like driving the promos, driving the stories right now. I get sad that every time she gets into a good position, she gets hurt because with the concussion and stuff like that.
I mean, it's a conspiracy.
She's trying to blame it on Aubrey the ref because when have you ever heard a ref actually be a part of a storyline or something?
Don't.
Oh, you're right.
Britt Baker blaming everything on her when she was like going through the rundown and then got to the very end and she's like, well, and then I had my nose broken and Aubrey Edwards was somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. Every time she flipped it, conspirator.
Nyla Rose has hit that move perfectly every time, but no, she breaks me. Conspirator.
But my favorite thing, aside from the fact that when Tony Schiavone got into the way, looking at the board, and I thought she was almost about to say the F word at him, like get the F out of the way, and she caught herself, was as she rolled away, and it said ROLL model, roll model, because now she's rolling on wheels. I don't know.
Oh my god! I didn't see that.
She showed it. She deliberately shows the wheelchair at the start of the promo. That's why she's backwards at the start, and then she gets turned round, so you can see role model, and then you see role model as she goes out.
Britt Baker is like the creme de la creme right now. She's like giving us attitude, puns, like glitter, feathers, and she still looks fierce with a freaking broken tibula or something. Like,
you know what, Moxie, you liked that promo so much, and you seem to like all of these promos when Britt Baker gets hurt. Conspirator. That was what happened on Dynamite this week. We got to talk real quick about the match that we got on AEW Dark. It was Penelope Ford going up against Kylan King in, I don't want to say a forgettable match, but I don't fully remember what happened in this match.
So this is a match I will use a word sloppy on, and I think it was not just nerves. Penelope is a faster worker, and what was her name? Kylan King.
I also think she seemed really green too. It seems like AEW's got a...
They said less than 2 years.
Oh, really? So super green.
Said less than 2 years. So she, held it together, but it was very sloppy, and it didn't hold my attention.
Legit, we're reviewing matches, and someone had an off night. I mean, not every match is going to be 5 stars, and not every time you walk through that curtain are you going to be 5 stars. I would be down to see more of Kylan, but I think it's just going to be, you got to get used to TV, because obviously 2 years into the business, you're not used to being on TV. And especially working, no crowd really whatsoever. Well, literally no crowd, because Dark doesn't have an audience. So, it's a rough spot for her to be in. But I think for being as green as she was, it's not the worst thing I've ever seen in my life.
No, they've definitely had worse matches on Dark. So.
Oh, yeah, they have. Natalie, I want to do one quick shout out, because we've been talking a lot about Jake Atlas on NXT as LGBT representation, but we haven't talked about Sonny Kiss at all. And Sonny Kiss is by far, if you haven't seen his tag team match on Dark, go watch it. Sonny Kiss blows my mind with how talented that is. Whenever Sonny is in the ring, I'm blown away by some of the moves that I see, and I think they need a better shot at getting, seen.
So could you imagine if Vicky Guerrero ended up managing Sonny Kiss? That'd be the most brash thing in the world.
Oh God, I didn't know I needed something.
That would be so good.
Just the attitude would be dripping through the screen.
I'm thinking of all the attitude. I'm also thinking of an LGBT performer and a Trump supporter working together. It's kind of like...
Two worlds collide. Be great.
Be great. Be very interesting. On that note, hey, Moxie.
Hey, Joey.
Hey, Molly.
Hey, Molly.
Hey, Molly. What is your boom blast moment of the week?
She doesn't know what's going on. You just tell us your most
None of our guests know what's going on.
Yeah, we grew
Boom Blast is going to be your one moment of the week that stands out the most. Mine, I'll just go ahead and say, was honestly that kendo stick shot to Nyla Rose in the AEW Women's Championship match. I don't know why. I just love it so much.
Weirdly, as I said, the psychology and the Shotzi Blackheart and Raquel's match, like the opening sequence was just, it all made sense. And to me, that just made me happy inside. So for that, like that's it. If you haven't seen it, please just go watch it. Like, NXT this week was actually, as a whole show, was banging.
Yes, it was.
And that match in particular, it was a great showcase of two up-and-coming stars, and seeing what they're able to work together just means that they're going to have more opportunities to get even better and do more things, which is a very exciting future.
It's difficult because I really loved Britt Baker's promo, but I also really loved the entire Raquel Shotzi match. So I'm just gonna have to say I have a tie, and I don't think I've ever had a tie of Boom Blast moments. But so when we very first started this review, it was supposed to be AEW versus NXT, and AEW wasn't that great at the beginning, so NXT was just winning all the time. But now that we're seeing this come from Britt Baker, we're finally seeing there is some there's greatness in both, and I'm excited. So it's my first time ever. I have two Boom Blasts. They're tied. That match and her promo. And again, I just have to say, I cannot wait for her not to be injured again, because I just think it's going to be.
It's your first ever tie for a Boom Blast moment, and it happens to be with Britt Baker.
Yeah.
Conspirator!
Well, for me, with the Britt Baker stuff, I'm just excited to see who is going to be our arch nemesis. Who's going to be the one that goes toe-to-toe with her.
Hey, Moxie.
Hey, Joey.
Hey, Molly. Where can people find you?
Wow, that was really bad, but...
Yeah, but genuinely, the best thing to do is to Google Molly Spartan. I am the only Molly Spartan. So I am Molly Spartan on Twitter, Molly Spartan on Instagram. I am Real Molly Spartan on Facebook, because this one woman tried to be Molly Spartan and then she realised, oh, that's taken.
Just for the people out there, I didn't mean to dye my hair to look like Molly Spartan. She asked what kind of hair dye I was using and everything, and then all of a sudden, she's got the same hair color. The first time I came to the UK, I didn't have the blonde, and then I came to it the second time, and then when you walked in, I was like, oh fuck, did I see the hairstyle? Did I think of this because I saw hers?
Moxie, where can people find you?
All social media platforms at that's THEE, Moxie Molly. And do not forget to look below and literally click the bell to subscribe to hear all the updates on all of our, new content, interviews, lives, etc.
Then you can find me at Joey_Mayberry on every form of social media. Also check out my YouTube channel and my new show, Tops and Bottoms, that comes out every single Sunday. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in to Ring the Bell. We will be back bringing you everything about AEW and NXT next week. Until then, Conspirator.
Bye.
Bye.